in the middle of or just after run 1. So the cars have just come down the hill to gather at the start line for run 2. I'm going to try and hop out and get the start line camera going again for you. So please bear with us, and we'll try to connect Zenon up as well, and we'll be back soon.
So sorry for the interruption in the broadcast. We've restarted, and this is the beginning of run 2. We actually managed not to miss any cars.
This was the first half of run 2. We have times of run 1. So I'm going to share them with you. Rob Dwan went fastest again, not beating his own records, but the day is long. So his fastest time was today, so far, is 57.53 in his OMS 25, followed by Billy White in his Renault Formula Renault Roger, Class 7, 102.13. Russell Stanworth in his Reynard Formula Opel Lotus, Class 7, 104.71. Followed by Siobhan McCann in her Ray, Class 6, 105.05. Then we have Ben O'Brien in his Gould, Class 7, 105.47. Damien Walsh in his Wildcat, Class 3A, 106.14. Brian Kerwin then in the Peugeot 205 Rear-Wheel Drive, Class 3A, 107.44. Tommy Gardner in the Honda Civic VTEC, Class 3A, 108.26. Shay Delaney in the Honda Civic EK4 Class 2, 108.51. Declan Gannon then in the Ford Fiesta R5 Class 10, 108.74. Keith Cullen in the Honda Civic EK4 Class 8B, 108.79. John Mahon in the DJ Class 6, 109.31. Ray Cunningham then in the Morris Cooper S Class 1A, 110.01. John Pettit in the Darien T90 GTR Class 9B, 110.09. Christopher Snow in his Honda Civic 3A, 110.22. David Dempsey in the Mitsubishi Evo 5, Class 3B, 110.57. Peter Bogan in the Escort 3A, 110.64. Graham Bradley in the Honda Civic EK4, Class 2, 110.67. Jack Brunton in the Ford Escort Mark II, Class 8B, 110.70. Clive Bradshaw in the Peugeot 106 GTI Class 8B, 113.86. David Furlong in the BMW Mini Cooper Class 8B, 114.40. Seamus Anderson in the Ford Anglia Class 8A, 114.50. Enda Byrne in the VW Formula V Class 5, 114.66. PJ Doyle then in the Peugeot 206 XSI Class 8B, 114.98. Jack Hendrick in the Suzuki Swift Class 1A, 115 flat. Senan might be relocating, so we'll see whether we get a feed from him again. Piers Hendrick in his Honda Civic VTEC Class 2, 115.79. Patrick Milet in the Citroen VTR 8-valve Class 8A, 116.05. David Bradley in the Formula V Class 5, 117.02. Eddie Lyons in the Mitsubishi Evo Class 10, 117.18. Martin O'Dowd in the Toyota Corolla Class 8B, 118.25. Chris Snow in the Honda Civic, 118.43 in Class 2. Michael Furlong in the BMW Mini Cooper, competing in the junior class, so he has an extra passenger on board, 119.74. Wolfgang Schnittger, MG Midget, Class 4, 119.85. Kian McDonald in his Ford 1A, 120.08. Elaine Kerwin in her Starlet, Class 1A, 120.24. Willie Fogarty in his Fiat 127, Class 1A, 120.50. And Purser in the Peugeot 205, Class 8A, 121.20. Gary Bradley in his BMW Mini Cooper, Class 9B, 121.66. Robert Cummins in the Seicento, Class 1B, 121.99, followed by Francis Dempsey in the Cinquecento Class 1B, 122.19. John Hackett in the Mini Marcos Class 4, 122.40. And we see the cars coming back down the hill past the start line into the paddock before the second half of run 2. Kiva White in her Fiat Seicento Class 1B, 122.44. John Ford in his Citroen C2, Class 8A, 122.57. Johnny Murray in his Cinquecento, Class 1B, 125.28. Jim Butler in his Clio, Class 3A, 125.40. Val Thompson in the TMC Costin, Class 4, 126.82. Tom Garrity in the Ford Escort RS, Class 9B, 127.93. Jack Kelly in the Ford Fiesta, competing also in the junior class, 136.04. Ray Fitzgerald in the Fiat Seicento, Class 1A, 142.33. And Sean Murray in the Lotus Elan, Class 4, 154.21. I'd like to take this opportunity to remember Craig Breen, whose anniversary it is today. It's been 2 years since he sadly lost his life testing in Croatia. So best wishes are going out to the whole rallying community and his family and friends, as well as his fellow competitors. So we have the last car who went up the hill passing the start line now, and they're waving on the second batch of cars. I'm also looking at the start line, so that's why I'm kind of gazing into the nothingness from your point of view here. So there don't seem to be cars right at the start line yet, and I'm missing the bike marshal. And I see that the official's car is just going up the hill. Maybe they need to make sure that everything is in order as well. So while we are waiting for the second half of run 2 and for Senan to provide us with more footage from up the hill, I will continue to present you the sponsors of the different classes and which cars compete in which class. So the last class we were talking about was Class 3A. Just to summarize again, Class 3A is the Super Saloon class. So the Performance Factor Class 3, production and modified production saloons and roadsters between 1651 and 2100 cc. Front engine sports cars up to 1650 cc with car derived engines and up to 1200 cc with motorbike derived engines. Silhouette cars and space framed saloons up to 1650 cc. This class is sponsored by Barrett Trailers, based in Kilfennan, County Limerick. So that's Willie Barrett's business. They're main dealers for Brian James Trailers, Cheval Liberté Horse Trailers, Des Bons Box Trailers, Toughmac Cattle and Agri Trailers, and Erde Trailers. They have a huge range of trailer parts in stock and also repair trailers. So if you need anything regarding trailers, get in touch with Willie Barrett on 063 91843 or contact them through their website barretttrailers.ie. So Barrett Trailers in one word with 3T. We have cars back on the line. There seems to be a bit of an interruption at the moment, so I will just continue with the classes. So once again, anything trailer related, Willie Barrett is your man. Contact him on the website 063-91843 or TikTok, I believe. Class 3B then, the Ultimate Saloon class, Performance Factor Class 2, Production and Modified Production Saloons over 2,100 cc's and Roadsters over 2,100 cc, silhouette cars from 1,651 cc to 2,100 cc, space framed saloons over 1,650 cc, front engine sports cars with bike derived engines over 1,200 cc, front engine sports cars with car derived engines 1,651 to 2,100 cc, four-wheel drive production saloons and modified saloons. This class is sponsored by Dirk Yacht Charter. They specialize in skippered cruises on a very fast Red Bay 32-foot rib on Loch Dirk. Contact Paula or Rory Stevens for more information. Class 3C is the sports car class. Performance Factor Class 1, silhouette cars over 2,100 cc and rear engine sports cars as well as front engine sports cars with car-derived engines over 2,100 cc, alloy and composite saloons unlimited. The sponsor here is the Galway Mini Centre, Ray Cunningham's business, and their website is www.galwayminicenter.com. Class 4 is the Historics class, classic cars as per HRCA regulations, reference Motorsport Ireland Appendix 49 and FIA Appendix K. Compliance documents are required in this class. It's sponsored by CBI Freight UK Limited, Mick O'Shea's business, and their website is cbifreight.co.uk. The junior class then, junior saloon class, drivers aged between 13 and 17 inclusive. Production and modified production saloon cars eligible for this class are Fiat Cento Challenge as per Hillclimb Technical Regulations 1B, cars that comply with Junior Rallycross regulations, Junior Mini Challenge cars as per Mini Challenge regulations, and J1000 cars as per 11,000 regulations. This class sponsored by Motorsport Ireland. Their website is motorsportireland, all in one word.com. Class 5 features Formula Ford, Formula V, Class Formula Ford 1600, Classic Formula Ford 1600 as per current or previous Ford Motorsport regulations, Formula V as per the current or previous Formula V regulations, Appendix 45. This class is sponsored by the Limerick-based DPF clinic, Ben O'Brien's business, who are experts in modern diesel emission systems, covering all aspects of DPF and AdBlue SCR system repairs and diagnostics. Their website is dpfclinic.ie. Class 6, the Super Single-Seater class. Single-seaters up to 2,100 cc, having only 2 valves per cylinder. Single-seaters up to 1,650 cc, having more than 2 valves per cylinder. This class is sponsored by Cottage Kitchens, Siobhan McCann and Enda Burns' business. They design and make bespoke kitchens, utilities, pantries, and islands, but also wardrobes, living room units, home office, understair storage, custom-built stairs, and storage solutions. They're based in Gorey, but cover the whole Leinster area. They can be found on Facebook and Instagram, and their contact page is available on their website, www.cottagekitchens.ie. Class 7, the Libre class, features single-seaters over 2,100 cc, having only 2 valves per cylinder, as well as single-seaters over 1,650 cc, having more than 2 valves per cylinder. rear-engined sports cars over 2,100cc, and four-wheel drive cars that are not rally production or modified production saloons. The class sponsor here is Bell Homes. Frank Bell and Sons Limited are revered second-generation home builders near Mullingar, delivering high-quality homes since 1976. Spearheaded by Managing Director Shane Bell, whom you might know as a competitor in a Subaru Impreza, the company has maintained its reputation for excellence through nearly 5 decades of consistent quality craftsmanship. They focus on local development and maintaining a high standard in construction. Their website is www.bellhomes.ie. Moving on to Class 8A then, 1650cc 8-valve rally cars. Performance factor Class 6, two-wheel drive rally cars up to 1650cc with no more than 2 valves per cylinder. This class is sponsored by AK Services, Alan Kane's business. They are a supplier of all things roofing and spray foam insulation for houses and sheds. And you can reach Alan under 083 094 8440. Class 8B, 1650cc 16-valve rally cars. Two-wheel drive rally cars up to 1650cc with more than 2 valves per cylinder. Sponsored by Brian Kerwin Auto Developments, providing the following services: vehicle servicing and repairs, pre-DOF NCT inspection and rectification, cars, commercials and 4x4s, emission testing and repair, battery sales, wheel alignment, diagnostic and fault finding, and they're based in Adamstown, County Wexford. You can reach Brian under 087 299 1460. Class 9A, 2100cc 8-valve rally cars, two-wheel drive rally cars from 1651cc to 2100cc with no more than 2 valves per cylinder, sponsored by UMG Carpentry and Construction in Ballintor, County Sligo, Alton McGowan's business, who are serving the northwest of the country. All types of roofing and construction are undertaken by them. Give Alton a call on 086 384 6973. Class 9B then, 2100cc 16-valve rally cars, two-wheel drive rally cars from 1651cc to 2100cc with no more than 2 valves per cylinder. And Class 10, unlimited rally class, two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive rally cars over 2100cc. These classes must apply to all championship events. The organizing clubs may include extra classes or amalgamate classes, subject to the approval of the Hillclimb and Sprint Commission. Rally cars must run rally ready to include tires, seats, etc. So despite hill climbing being a single driver or single occupant sport, apart from the junior class who have an adult sitting in with them, the rally cars must be rally ready. So you have to have the whole setup for the co-driver in the car as well, but you're on your own. You can still sponsor these two last classes, so get in touch with Enda, Siobhan or Ben. If you're wondering what the FIA performance factor number is relating to, the performance factor is a method of classifying the cars, the calculation which consists of allocating a performance value specific to each car based on its weight and technical parameters. The performance factor number of a car must be generated using the dedicated performance factor website. This website is fiaperformancefactor.com. So all in one word, FIA, performancefactor.com. Classes will be determined based on the following performance factor points. Class 1, 0 to 59. Class 2, 60 to 119. Class 3, 120 to 179. Class 4, 180 to 239. Class 5, 240 to 299, and Class 6, 300 and above. And another note from the Wexford Motor Club, cars being double driven can only be entered into one class. So you can't, if you broke down with your car in your class and you were competing in a competitor's car alongside, like double driving with the competitor whose car you're driving, both drivers must be registered in the same class. Shout out also to our championship sponsor, Tommy Gardner, who is competing in this event in his... One second, I think I have a signal from Senant there. There's nothing happening on the hill, but I just have to confirm it to him so that he knows. So Tommy Gardner is competing in this event and his company is Alecto. They provide an electrical design, build and software development service to some of Ireland's leading production machine building companies, and they also integrate end-of-line packaging systems to Irish manufacturing sites. Their website is www.alecto.ie. He's the championship sponsor and he's competing in the field. While we have this interruption, I could present you with some footage of the Sunday winner of last year's Wexford event. It was Russell Stanworth. I believe it was the first time he was fastest car on the hill. And here's a little bit of
Russell Stanworth.
Last year.
It's been a long time coming, hasn't it? FTD on a closed road.
Yeah. First one, first FTD.
And you're also fastest over the weekend as well.
Yeah, fastest the weekend again.
We missed you for a little while during the day. Is there a story behind that?
Yeah, I had a loose wire that shorted out and dropped the voltage on the battery. So I ended up I had to charge a battery, so I missed 2 runs.
You never get an easy day, do you? And there's some glassware as well?
Yeah, glassware as well.
Nice one.
Yeah. I did glassware yesterday. That was small.
It looked like you were really pushing the car. Like there was like the car was kind of in oversteer kind of moments when we seen you a few times. It looks like you're getting the most out of this piece of road.
A little bit, yeah. It was still slippy. There's a lot of dirt on the road, so it wasn't clean. Yesterday we had the rain to deal with, and it was very wet. Today the road was dry, but it was still, the grip wasn't all there. So yeah, you'd still to be careful.
And like Billy's off yesterday, as it's opened up the championship. It's all still there to be played for, and some of these saloons are going very, very quick this year.
Saloons are probably in the first 2 or 3 places of the championship at the moment.
Yeah.
But hopefully with some dry weather we can put that right.
You'll do something about it. Good man yourself. The next one though, the car should feel right at home at Mondello, shouldn't it?
It will, yeah. Yeah. Looking forward to Mondello. Really good. Yeah.
So are we, and we'll be there to see that. So thanks a million, Russell, and congratulations. Well done. Our reigning Hillclimb champion.
That's his first overall win at a Hillclimb.
That's his winner, yeah.
All right, yeah. I've only 2 hands now.
This is the overall cup for over the 2 days, right? From over the 2 days, you're the biggest time over the 2 days. So round of applause for him on that, lads, as well, alright? Alright.
I just want to say thanks to everybody involved. Put on a great show. Just need to try harder with the weather for Saturday.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
Thanks
I think it's brought in witches. It was good Thursday, Friday. Just saying.
Yeah, good show. Thank you.
Alright, thanks very much.
So last year's deserving winner, Russell Stanworth, he was very happy to have the fastest time of the day. Congratulations again. I bet he's eager to compete for this today, but the field is tough at the top, I must say. We have some excellent drivers and machinery up there in class 7 and 8. So, but it's all to play for. The sun is still out, the road is still dry, so we hopefully get some more action for you soon from the hill. You see there, at the moment, there's nothing happening on the hill. We have Senan Signal back. He's further up the road in a quite twisty bit again. And you see at the start line, there is currently no movement, unfortunately. So what we could do to spend the time, I suppose, is maybe look back at the archive footage that we got out for you from the Wexford Sprint 2005. I won't show you the start again, although I might leave the bit of Darrell Ramsey in there for his time to shine as a competitor rather than the bike marshal, which he's doing at the moment. So I'll do a bit of Darrell there, and then I go over to where we left off the last time.
turn me. That's too bad, I suppose.
I'm going to turn down the sound a little bit of the archive footage, but I leave it running while I read out the current overall times, as we might be back online soon. I'll also share the start line footage with you so that you don't miss what's going on. So So the current times, including a few times of run 2, we're still waiting for the last few cars of the first batch of cars for run 2 to cross the line. At the moment, Robert Dwan is leading, 57.53, Billy White, 102.17, Russell Stanworth, 104.71, Siobhan McCann, 105.05, Ben O'Brien, 105.47, Damien Walsh, 105.88, Brian Kerwin, 106.11, Shay Delaney, 107.09, Tommy Gardner, 108.26, Ray Cunningham, 108.64, Declan Gannon, 108.74, Keith Cullen, 108.79, John Pettit, 109.30, Johnny Mahon, 109.31, Jack Brunton, 109.93, David Dempsey, 110.01, Graham Bradley, 110.07, Christopher Snow, 110.22, Peter Bogan in his escort, 110.49, Piers Hendrick, 112, Jack Hendrick, 113.38, Clive Bradshaw, 113.86, David Furlong, 114.40, Seamus Anderson, 114.50, Enda Byrne, 114.66, PJ Doyle, 114.98, Patrick Milet, 115.19, David Bradley, 117.02. And just in case you're getting worried by seeing the motorsport rescue vehicle backing in there after the interruption, these people don't necessarily look after, or don't only look after people, but also after vehicles and the road. So please don't be worried. We might have an update later on what has happened, but I think the event is going to resume shortly, so hopefully there won't be any casualties, car or otherwise. Eddie Lyons, Mitsubishi Evo, 117.18, Martin O'Dowd, Toyota Corolla, 118.25, Chris Snow, 118.43, Wolfgang Schnittger, 118.51, John Hackett, 118.67, Cian McDonald, 119.03, Elaine Kerwin, 119.69, Michael Furlong, 119.74, Willie Fogarty, 120.50, Francis Dempsey, 120.74, Andy Purser, 121.20, Robert Cummins, 121.26, Gary Bradley, 121.66, Kiva White, 122.44, John Ford, 122.57, Johnny Murray, 123.59, Jim Butler, 125.40, Val Thompson, 126.56, Tom Garrity, 127.93, Jack Kelly, 130.31, Ray Fitzgerald, 142.33, and Sean Murray, 149.66. So these are the current times as we're in the middle of run 2. So while we're waiting, we might as well spend the time and sit in again with Ray Cunningham as he went up the hill yesterday in run 5, doing his fastest time. Thanks again, Ray, for providing us with this exciting footage. Like I said before, if any other drivers would like to volunteer some insights to what their days look like, please give us your SD cards or send me the files. I'd be happy to feature your runs on this stream in the upcoming events. Talk about upcoming events. The next round is round 5 and 6. You see here the dates. May 17th and 18th is the MEC sprint in Mondello. Then we have June 14th and 15th Carlo. I have to maximize it because I can't see it. So June 28th and 29th Westmeath Hillclimb, and then August 23rd and 24th the Connacht Hillclimb. And the non-championships championship events are the Galway Hillclimb on the 12th and 13th of June, and the Donegal Hillclimb on September 6th and 7th. Beautiful hill, by the way, Donegal. And it sounds as if there's a car getting ready to start on the line. We're just waiting for Daryl to come back and give us the thumbs up that the coast is clear. Here's a QR code that you can use if you want to become a marshal at the next event, which would be in Mondello, run by the Motor Enthusiasts Club. It's a great event, and if you want to get behind the scenes, or if your car isn't ready and you're a competitor, come to Mondello on the 17th and 18th of next month to do some marshalling. It would be greatly appreciated. You can just scan the code and it will generate an email to Brian Conlon, who will let you know all the ins and outs. So the bike marshal is back. Senan is ready. Let's have some more of the action. So this was the first half of the second run of the round 4 of the Electro Irish Hillclimb and Sprint Championship 2025. I was hoping they'd gather the rest of the cars that are usually in the second batch, but no, we have to wait again. So while we're waiting, maybe a few things on the ins and outs of spectating or marshalling at hill climbs. We were talking about it yesterday, and some of the single-seater drivers were saying that they really have to focus on the road. So if there's an obstruction ahead and a marshal sees it or sees another marshal up the hill wave a red flag, they really have to wave the flag big time and immediately. On the other hand, then if a spectator is wearing a red jacket, say, or a jumper around their waist or something like that, that's equal, like also red, it could be perceived as a red flag on their peripheral vision. So that could make them slow down as a reflex, because they have to assume that there is something on the hill. So it would be great if spectators would remember not to wear any red tops or even trousers or anything red on while they're spectating at a hill, because for the drivers the red flag is literally a red flag and they will back off because they have to feel that there's an obstruction around the next corner, and that's why the red is the marshal's color. We see Ben O'Brien on the line, so we're back in action. It's always a feast for the eyes to see these amazing big machines on Irish country roads, I must say. Getting too excited there, talking into Senen's stream. But ahead, just in front of me, Daryl left the line, so there's always a little bit of a delay between the feed and the stream. So there you see Daryl. In the background behind Daryl is Martin Gallagher, our championship photographer. He publishes his pictures on Irish Hillclimbs and the Irish Hillclimb Sprint Championship. If you want to have a look, they're great pictures and give you a great impression of the cars in their best light, shall we say. And he also takes pictures around the paddock, which is always nice. It's always nice to see who is at the hill and a bit of crack, you know. On the right, you see the cars line up ahead of the start line for run 3. So this would be the first half of run 3. Like I said earlier, the first part of the run is usually, unless there's someone double driving, then there would be a larger mix of cars. But it's usually saloon cars and slower cars, shall we say, or smaller engined cars. And then the second run usually contains the faster cars and the single-seater. This is due to the fact that as soon as there is a slower car on the hill, we would have to wait longer at the start line to let a faster car go. So it makes sense to have them in batches that kind of work well together. Because just in case you were wondering why Damien Walsh got a second attempt for, I think it was run 2, he actually caught up with a slower car. So it's not nice for him. It's not nice for the competitor ahead of him. So they try to let the cars go in a good time so that they don't meet each other on the hill, shall we say, or that they don't kind of get into traffic. As you can see by the flags and trees in the bigger picture here of the start line, the wind has picked up in comparison to yesterday, but it's still dry, and I am going to make a guess that it's going to stay dry for the rest of the runs, which is run 3, 4, and hopefully we'll get in a 5th run as well in the dry. The clubs are sometimes torn between being held up by interruptions not in their control, caused by different things. So on a Sunday, obviously, eventually everybody will want to head home. Some competitors come from far away. Martin Gallagher needs to go back up north. We live in the far southwest, so there's a lot of road to be covered by some. So the motor clubs are usually very good in getting the prize given over the line quickly as well after the event is over, usually in the paddock, weather permitting, and then everybody hits the road again to go home. Thanks, Senen, for capturing the cars coming down the hill. So that's the batch we're waiting for. This is the second batch of run 2 coming down the hill. You're going to get another glimpse of the single-seaters and everybody else who went up in batch 2, or 2B as we refer to it. in the graphics. So they're passing us now here at the start line. And we wait for Daryl, the bike marshal, to give us the thumbs up for run 3 to commence. Thanks again for tuning in to Vantage Point Video, Facebook and YouTube Live, as well as the Irish Hillclimb and Sprint Championship and the Wexford Motor Club Facebook pages. A lot of traffic here now at the start line next to us. And hopefully Daryl will come back here in front of us and give the start marshal, the marshal on the start line who gives the cars the go-ahead, the all clear to commence run 3. We see Russell Stanworth there on the left, last year's winner and fastest time of the day. And the year before he was actually the Hillclimb champion, which was then taken over by Billy White, who was our reigning Hillclimb champion. There's Siobhan McCann. And our current record holder on the hill. And here's Daryl, our bike marshal. And we have cars on the line again. Enjoy the action. This is run 3 of round 4 of the Electro Irish Hillclimb and Sprint Championship 2025. This was the first half of round 3 of round 4 of the Alecto Irish Hill Climb and Sprint Championship 2025. I believe Senan is going to change location. So while we keep an eye on the start line to see when the second batch of cars will go up, obviously the first batch of cars will come down again first with Darrell. So we are getting into a routine here finally today. So we're waiting for the cars to come back down and the second batch of the cars to queue up at the start line. And I'm going to give you the current results that we have. Also, the club would like to thank the event sponsors, Ignite Training and Consultancy and CPE Cross Phillip Engineering. They sponsor the event separately, and a little bit of maintenance to mention the people that are namely involved in organizing this event. And like I said, there's a whole bunch of people behind them. Obviously the paddock marshal, the bike marshal, all the marshals on the road. So I can only give you a rundown of a few of them. Motorsport Ireland steward today and yesterday is Brian Keegan. The safety delegate is James O'Rourke, and the chief scrutineer is Michael P. Brady. The event secretary is Esther Kerwin. The assistant secretary is Margaret Fielding. Timing and results are coming from Alan Corrigan. You can find them on timing.irishhillclimb.com. Ambulance comes from the Red Cross. The rescue is Leinster Rally Rescue. The bike marshal is Darrell Ramsey, who I said before is actually won the event outright in 2005, the sprint. The paddock marshal is Jay O'Rourke, and there we go. Senan is looking for a new location to bring you some more bits of the hill. The clerk of the course is Emmett Cleary. The deputy COC is Pat Caulfield. The club steward is Graham Scallon. The club safety delegate is James Dorn. And the chief marshal is Cian Murphy. And once again, if you would like to get involved with marshalling, especially for the next event in Mondello, just scan this QR code here and it will generate an email to Brian Conlon of the MEC Motor Club. So, times. I will give you a rundown of the times of run 3 first, and then we'll see whether we can do a little bit of the overall sheet as well. So Brian Kerwin in his Peugeot 205 rear-wheel drive in Class 3A, 106.19. Shay Delaney in his Honda Civic EK4, 108.06. He competes in Class 2. Same as Graham Bradley in his Honda Civic EK4, 110.07. And another competitor for Class 2 is Piers Handrick Honda Civic VTEC with 110.86 in run 3. John Pettit in his Darren T90 GTR competes in 9B and his time was 111.39. Peter Bogan in the Ford Escort, Class 3A, 111.45. Ray Cunningham in the Morris Mini Cooper S, Class 1A, 112.56. Jack Handrick in the Suzuki Swift, Class 1A, 113.64. And here we see the cars of the first batch come down the hill again, followed by Daryl, the bike marshal. So as soon as we see them, I'll enlarge the picture for you. So Jack Hendrick in his Suzuki Swift did a 113.64 in run 3, competing in Class 1A. David Furlong in his BMW Mini Cooper, Class 8B, 115.14. Patrick Milet in his Citroen VTR 8-valve, Class 8A, 116.69. Wolfgang Schnittger in his MG Midget, Class 4, 117.89. Elaine Kerwin in her Toyota Starlet, Class 1A, 119.60. Chris Snow in the Honda Civic, Class 2, 120.02. John Hackett, Mini Marcos, also 120.02. He's competing in Class 4. Keane MacDonald in his Ford, Class 1A, 120.37. Robert Cummins is leading the Centos in his Seicento, Class 1B, 121.34. Kiva White in her Seicento Class 1B, 122.68. Val Thompson in the TMC Costin Class 4, 126.95. Jack Kelly in his Ford Fiesta, 132.02. He's competing in the junior class. And Ray Fitzgerald in the Seicento Class 1A, 142.92. Overall, Robert Dwan is still leading the pack in his OMS 25. He's competing in Class 7. His fastest time today was 57.53. Billy White then in the Renault Formula Renault Roger, Class 7, 102.13. Russell Stanworth in his Reynard Formula Opel Lotus, also Class 7, 104.71. Sean Mechanics F, 104. Class 7, 105.47. And we have a car back on the line. We see Ben O'Brien making his way to the line there. He has to wait until the course is completely clear before he can go up the hill in his single-seaters, and there's also Russell Stanworth. That concludes run 3. And you maybe saw that the marshals at the start line were already getting out the board for run 4. So they're interested in getting a smooth routine going while Daryl is making his way up the hill to bring the cars down that went up in the second batch of run 3. While we're waiting for the next cars to come to the line, I'll give you another rundown of the overall results. Now that we should have the times of the single-seaters for run 3 as well. We're not there yet. I'm just waiting to get the times of the single-seaters for run 3 as well, and then I give you a complete rundown. They should be up any time. You can find the times under timing.irishhillclimb.com. And we have the times in. Fastest still, Rob Dwan in his OMS 25, 57.26. He didn't come out for run 3. I wonder, have they maybe gone home yet? I think they have to make their way back to the other side of the country, so they might have left it at that. But Rob Dwan still holding the record, the new record for this hill with 56.16, and today his fastest time was 57.26. He did that time in run 2, and there is a chance that they went home then. So he's followed by Billy White, 101.94. He's probably eager to beat the 1 minute. Same as Russell Stanworth, 104.71. Siobhan McCann, 104.81. And then we have Ben O'Brien, 105.47. Damien Walsh in his Wildcat, 105.88. Brian Kerwin, 106.11. Shay Delaney, 107.09. John Mahon, 107.97. Tommy Gardner, 108.26. Ray Cunningham, 108.64. Declan Gannon, 108.74. Keith Cullen, 108.79. John Pettit, 109.30. David Dempsey, 109.85. Jack Brunton, 109.93. Graham Bradley, 110.07. Christopher Snow, 110.22. Peter Bogan, 110.49. Piers Hendrick, 110.86. Enda Byrne, 112.23. Jack Hendrick, 113.38. Then we have PJ Doyle, 113.60. Clive Bradshaw, 113.86. David Furlong, 114.40. Seamus Anderson, 114.50. Eddie Lyons, 114.76. Patrick Millet, 115.19. David Bradley, 115.75. Martin O'Dowd, 116.28. Wolfgang Schnittger, 117.89. Willie Fogarty, 117.98. Chris Snow, 118.43. John Hackett, 118.67. Andy Purser, 118.82. Cian MacDonald, 119.03. Elaine Kerwin, 119.60. Michael Furlong, 119.74. Gary Bradley, 124.2. Francis Dempsey, 127.4. Robert Cummins 121.26, John Ford 121.93, Jim Butler 122.24, Kiba White 122.44, Johnny Murray 123.59, Val Thompson 126.56, Tom Garrity 126.94, Jack Kelly 130.31, Ray Fitzgerald 142.33, Sean Murray 149.66. So here's the last single seaters that went up in run 3, coming down the hill across the start line. And as soon as Daryl crosses the start line and comes back in here, there he is, we can look forward to the footage of run 4. There seems to be another interruption, unfortunately. So we're going to have a look at the upcoming events again. Next event is MEC Sprint in the middle of May, 17th and 18th of May. Then Carlow, June 14th and 15th. June 28th and 29th, Westmeath Hillclimb. And August 23rd and 24th, Connacht Hillclimb. There's also 2 non-championship events, July 12th and 13th, the Galway Hillclimb, and September 6th and 7th, Donegal Hillclimb. Unfortunately, I was wrong with my weather prognosis. It just started raining. So the new condition on the road might have had an effect on whoever went up last. So we're gonna have to wait and see when we can commence round 4 of the Elector Irish Hill Climb and Sprint Championship 2025. We do have a signal from Senan, but there's not much happening apart from weather, I suppose. So while we're waiting, we're going to show you a little bit more of our archive footage of the 2005 Wexford Sprint at a different location, but hosted by the same motor club and won by our current bike marshal, Darrell Ramsey. Welcome back to Vantage Point Video, Facebook and YouTube Live. Unfortunately, we had another short interruption.
I got the stripes from 1984. Yeah. The 777KI was a lovely car, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The one where you were on.
There was one replica
that, yeah.
going around, but it's only a 1200 engine.
Yeah.
That went up
It's very close to right, like, but where am I at? Yeah, like
Where are you based then?
I'm down in Castletownbere.
I'm a long ways away now.
Yeah.
You'd have to be going down to the Rally of the Lakes to see you.
Yeah, and I'm actually coming up to the Torque now. Go there to see if there's a rally across the door.
Well, I'm not going to the Rally of the Lakes either because I've had sons doing the lakes the last couple of years.
We're going to knock that off for a minute. So here's Daryl. Just in case you're wondering how much distance Daryl covers over a day, I said before that the course of this hill climb is 2.23 kilometers, about that. And he covered 71 miles yesterday, or the equivalent 114 kilometers on his bike, just going up and down the hill, checking what happened, what needs to be done, collecting the cars from the top of the hill back to the bottom of the hill, and so on and so forth. And the paddock marshal, Jay, he said that one round of collecting the cars for one run in the paddock is 1.25 kilometers. So we should ask him how much mileage he does in a day as well. But nothing, not as much as Daryl on his bike going up and down the hill. So thanks to those two, they really guarantee a smooth running of the event. Obviously, if there's interruptions like this where there might be a driver error or other sorts of interruptions, it's not their fault that the race is delayed, but they usually do a great job at having the event run smooth and have the cars at the start line when we need them there and back down off the hill when the next batch is about to go up. So we have a signal from Shannon and from the start line here, and we're just waiting for Daryl to come down. We have the officials car here. You see its nose on the right, and there's another car from officials coming down now. So all we need now is the go ahead from Daryl, and we can continue with run 4. Just trying to figure out what is happening, but I see the marshal that does the start line is back at his position, so it's looking good. Here's all the cars coming back down the hill, and we have Daryl back as well. Unfortunately, we lost Senan along the way. There's always something.
We'll talk after.
So unfortunately, we lost Sen again. He's back there. But we have the sun back as well, so that's a good thing. We're now having the problem that the stronger winds are playing gremlins with our setup. They're actually shaking this caravan. I can sometimes feel it. The gusts. So we're waiting for the second batch of the fourth run of round 4 of the Electro Irish Hillclimb and Sprint Championship 2025 to make their way to the line. We just saw Martin Gallagher call it a day for himself, the championship photographer. I'm guessing that Daryl is bringing the first batch of cars down. Quite a few competitors seem to have left, which is why I'm just calling this run 4 in the graphic in case you're wondering. I'm not dividing it between 4A and B anymore. But hopefully we get a run 5 in. At least the competitors that live closely or, want to gain more experience in their cars and make the most of the entry fee will hopefully get a chance for a 5th timed run. When I say timed run, I mean that the practice run is not timed because it's actually in place to give the drivers a chance without being under pressure to go up the hill and just get to know the hill and make themselves familiar with braking points and things to look out for. Because like I said before, apart from the junior drivers, they don't have a co-driver, they don't have notes as such that are being called out to them. So they have to either do the hill by memory or, that's what the practice run is for, to familiarize yourself with it and in order to prevent people from trying to make the best time during the practice run and also running a high risk. The practice run is not timed so that everybody has a chance to familiarize themselves with the road without pressure. So here's the first batch of cars coming down. You see a few Cinquecentos and Seicentos, and I believe it's Peter Vaughan's Escort. And as soon as Daryl comes back in here in front of us, we will have the next batch of cars go up the hill. Apologies for the technical challenges that we were faced today and that unfortunately forced us to interrupt the live stream. It's a strong learning curve for all of us, this live stream business, but I hope you enjoy that we now have 2 cameras for you on the hill, well, most of the time anyway today, and we have send and signal back as we speak. Hopefully soon now we'll commence with run 4. There's Daryl. So the second batch of run 4 will make their way up the hill now. That was Siobhan McCann in her J, I believe, and she completes run 4. Daryl is making his way up the hill now, and unfortunately, due to time and power constraints, we don't have a start line camera for the last one anymore. But I was trying to interpret some hand signals there that were made on the start line between the start marshal and Russell Stanworth, and I believe we are in for a 5th run. So that's great. It has dried up a bit. It looks as if the more shaded area of the hill could still be a little bit damp from the shower we had, but the road here has dried up nicely again. So here's the bike marshal with one of the officials' cars, and I'm going to get you some times. So Siobhan McCann is obviously not driving a paddock marshal called J, but she's driving a Ray. I'm just waiting for her time to get through, and then I give you a rundown of the overall results while we wait for the cars to make their way back down. One thing we can say is I did not see any of the leading cars go up, I think. So the top of the timesheet probably won't change. Robert Dwan definitely didn't do run 4, so his best time was achieved in run 2, 57.26, and he's also the current record holder of this hill with 56.16 recorded yesterday. So congratulations, Rob, and safe home to you and your dad, Ger, a previous hill climb competitor. You can hear me frantically refreshing the results sheets. Next time we're going to be in Mondello, and maybe we'll try to set up very close to the results caravan so that we can give you the times quicker, because they need to, so they are recorded on the hill with devices on the start line and the finish line. Mind you, some hills, I think Donegal and Mondello have more than the 2 start and finish time recording devices, whatever they're called. But this hill has 2, one at the start line, one at the finish, and they need to be read out and connected to the car that did the time, and then they are uploaded, and then we can get them on timing.irishhillclimb.com. And that can take a while, as we see now. So what I will do is I'll just go down the result sheet as it is now, and if it should change while I'm reading it out, I'll just do the top 10. So leading is Robert Dwan with 57.26, followed by Billy White, 101.94. Russell Stanworth then, 104.71. Siobhan McCann, 104.81. Ben O'Brien, 105.47. Damien Walsh, 105.88. Brian Kerwin, 106.11. Shay Delaney, 107.09. John Mahon, 107.97. Tommy Gardner, 108.26. Ray Cunningham, 108.64. Declan Gannon, 108.74. Keith Cullen, 108.79. And here's the cars coming back down the hill. John Pettit, 109.30. David Dempsey, 109.85. Jack Brunton, 109.93. Graham Bradley, 110.07. Christopher Snow, 110.22. Peter Bogan, 110.49. Piers Handrick, 110.86. Enda Byrne, 112.23. Jack Hendrick, 113.38. PJ Doyle, 113.60. Clive Bradshaw, 113.86. David Furlong, 114.40. Seamus Anderson, 114.50. Eddie Lyons, 114.76. Patrick Millett, 115.19. David Bradley, 115.75. Martin O'Dowd, 116.28. Wolfgang Schnittger, 117.89. Willie Fogarty, 117.98. Chris Snow, 118.43. John Hackett, 118.67. Andy Purser, 118.82. Keane MacDonald, 119.03. Elaine Kerwin, 119.60. Michael Furlong, 119.74. Gary Bradley, 120.42. Francis Dempsey, 120.74. Robert Cummins, 121.03. John Ford, 121.93. Jim Butler, 122.24. Kiba White, 122.44. Johnny Murray, 123.59. Val Thompson, 126.56. Tom Garrity, 126.94. Jack Kelly, 130.31. Ray Fitzgerald, 142.33. And Sean Murray, 149.66. So the cars are just passing me here at the finish line, the ones that are coming down from run 4. Sorry, at the start line, obviously. They have come down from the finish line. We still don't have the second batch of times from run 4, unfortunately. But here is Daryl back in the paddock, and hopefully soon we get run 5 on the way. And that will be the last run of round 4 of the Electro Irish Hillclimb and Sprint Championship 2025. So this was the first half of run 5. Took a finish line back into the paddock. That's the day done for them, apart from the ones obviously that are getting awards. I have the times now finally after run 4 and even a few run 5 times. So I'm going to try to incorporate the fresh times into the timesheet. So we have Rob Dwan 57.26, Billy White 101.94, Russell Stanworth 104.71, Siobhan McCann 104.81, Ben O'Brien 105.47, Brian Kerwin 105.72. That's his run 5 time. Damien Walsh 105.88, Shay Delaney 107.09, John Mahon 107.97, Tommy Gardner 108.28, Ray Cunningham 108.64, Declan Gannon 108.74, Keith Cullen 108.79, John Pettit 109.30, David Dempsey 109.57, Jack Brunton 109.93, Graham Bradley 110.07, Christopher Snow 110.22, Peter Bogan 110.49, Piers Hendrick 110.86, Enda Byrne 112.23, Jack Hendrick 113.38, PJ Doyle 113.60, Clive Bradshaw 113.86, David Furlong 114.40, Seamus Anderson 114.50, Eddie Lyons 114.76, Patrick Milet 115.19, David Bradley 115.75, Martin O'Dowd 116.28, Wolfgang Schnittger 117.89, Willie Fogarty 117.98, Chris Snow 118.43, John Hackett 118.67, Andy Purser 118.82, Cian MacDonald 119.03, Elaine Kerwin 119.18, that's her on 5 time, Michael Furlong 119.74, Gary Bradley 120.42, Francis Dempsey 120.74, Robert Cummins 121.03, John Ford 121.93, Jim Butler Jim Butler 122.24, Kiva White 122.44, Johnny Murray 123.59, Val Thompson 126.56, Tom Garrity 126.94, Jack Kelly 130.31, Ray Fitzgerald 142.33, and Sean Murray 149.66. Shout out to Brendan Hayden, he's one of the marshals on location 7, and shout out to all marshals for that matter. Like I said before, the hills wouldn't be able to be run without you making sure that the drivers are safe. So thanks again for all the marshals, the officials, and everybody who gets involved to get this show on the road, literally. And for the officials, it's not over when the 5th run is called or is done. They then do the prize given. They have to check which drivers are championship registered, etc. And then there's the prize given, and then there's the cleanup of the road, getting all the bales and the cones and the signs and the arrows and everything back away into storage until next year. So the cars are passing me right now, going across the start line. I don't know whether you can hear them. I have earplugs in myself, but I do hear them. And then we'll have the last batch of Run 5 of Round 4 of the Electro Irish Hillclimb and Sprint Championship 2025. The marshal at the start line is ready and waving the cars on. I can't see as far as before when we had the second camera, so I don't know. It's as much as a surprise for me as it will be for you. I'm guessing Russell Stanworth is going to do Run 5 because he was asking and giving a thumbs up, so I'm guessing he's going to go up the hill once more. As to the others, I don't know. What you saw there was Darren Ramsey letting a local, a resident, as we say, someone who lives along the hill, gave them an out. Because for the locals, it's tough as well. The road is closed for the 2 days, or for the, at least between, I think, probably 8 or 9 o'clock and 4 or 5 o'clock. Well, yeah, 5 o'clock. And so they have to change their weekend plans or go away. But then sometimes if there's an emergency, they can let the next marshal know that they need to come out, and then Daryl will facilitate. We're just waiting for Daryl to come back down now. We saw him go past Sennin, so he should be here any minute. And there is a few cars on the line. So we're going to provide you with more live action soon. And as soon as I have them, then I will give you the final results of round 4 of the Electro Irish Hill Climb and Spring Championship 2025 here in County Wexford. Siobhan McCann there in her Ray was the last car on the hill today of Run 5 and Round 4 of the Electro Irish Hillclimb and Sprint Championship. Presented to you here on Vantage Point Video, Facebook and YouTube Live, as well as the Facebook pages of the Wexford Motor Club and Irish Hillclimb and Sprint Championship. I'm guessing Sen will pack up soon, as soon as he sees the bike marshal, so don't be surprised when we lose that signal. Behavior. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in and being patient with us and our technical issues today. It's a never-ending challenge, it seems. But there was also a few interruptions up the hill that didn't help. But all in all, the officials did a great job. They are now getting everything ready for the prize giving, as I said earlier, and to wrap up, clean up the marshal's posts, etc., and open the road back up to the public. I think they have another half hour to do so. I think the road opens back up at 5 o'clock. So we're going to have a look for Siobhan's time in the last run. And we have it. So I can give you a rundown of the times now. Robert Dwan did the fastest time of the day, and also yesterday the fastest time of the weekend with 56.16. Today his fastest time was 57.26. Then we have Billy White. Robert Dwan in his OMS 25. Billy White in the Renault Formula Renault Roger Class 7 101.94. Siobhan McCann in her Ray 86F Class 6 102.53. Russell Stanworth in his Reinhardt Formula Opel Lotus Class 7 103.18. His run 5 times, so it's just as well he came out. Ben O'Brien then in the Judd Engine Gould Class 7 105.47. Brian Kerwin, Peugeot 205 Rear-Wheel Drive 105.72. That's also his run 5 time. Damien Walsh in the Wildcat 105.88. Shay Delaney in the Honda Civic EK4 107.09. John Mahon in the DJ 107.97. Tommy Gardner in the Civic VTEC Class 3A 108.26. David Dempsey in the Mitsubishi Evo Class 3B 108.42. Ray Cunningham in the Morris Cooper S Class 1A 108.64. Declan Gannon in the Ford Fiesta R5 Class 10 108.74. Keith Cullen in the Honda Civic EK4 Class 8B 108.79. John Pettit in the Darien T90 GTR Class 9B 109.30. Jack Brunton in the Escort Mark II 8B 109.72. Graham Bradley then in his Honda Civic EK4 110.07. Christopher Snow, Honda Civic Class 3A 110.22. Peter Bogan, Ford Escort Class 3A 110.49. Pierce Hendrick, Honda Civic VTEC Class 2 110.86. Enderburn in the Formula V Class 5 112.23. PJ Doyle in the Peugeot 206 XSI Class 8B 113.37. Jack Hendrick, Suzuki Swift 1A 113.38. Clive Bradshaw in the Peugeot 106 GTI Class 8B 114.28. David Furlong in the Mini Cooper Class 8B 114.40. Seamus Anderson then in the lovely Anglia 114.50. Eddie Lyons in the Mitsubishi Evo 114.76. Patrick Milet in the Citroen VTR 8 valve Class 8A 115.19. David Bradley in the Formula V Class 5 115.75. Martin O'Dowd in the Toyota Corolla Class 8B 116.28. Wolfgang Schnittger in the MG Midget 117.89. Willie Fogarty Fiat 127 117.98. Chris Snow in the Honda Civic, won 1843. John Hackett in the Mini Macross, won 1867. Michael Furlong in the BMW Mini Cooper, won 1881. Andy Purser in the Peugeot 205, also Class 8, won 1882. Cian MacDonald in the Ford Class 1A, won 1903. Elaine Kerwin in her Toyota Starlet Class 1A, won 1918. That's her run 5 time. And Gary Bradley in his BMW Mini Cooper Class 9B, won 2015, also the run 5 time. Francis Dempsey in the Cinquecento Class 1B, won 2074. Robert Cummins in the Seicento, won 2103. John Ford in the Citroen C2, won 2192. Jim Butler in the Renault Clio, won 2224. Kiva White in her Seicento, won 2244. Johnny Murray in his Cinquecento, won 2359. Val Thompson in his TMC Costin, won 2656. Tom Garrity in the Ford Escort RS Class 9B, won 2694. Jack Kelly in the Ford Fiesta, competing in the Junior Class 1J, won 3031 with a passenger. And Ray Fitzgerald via Seicento, won 4233, competing in 1A. And then we have Sean Murray in the Lotus Elan, won 4966. Thanks a million for watching and for staying with us through all the highs and lows of today and yesterday. It was a pleasure for us to provide you with the live action from the Wexford Motor Club Hillclimb 2025, the round 4 of the Electro Irish Hillclimb and Sprint Championship 2025. Thanks to all the organisers, the sponsors, the marshals and the competitors and everybody else who was involved in the event. It was a pleasure for us to provide you with the live footage. We'll be working on getting all the gremlins erased and providing you with more and more footage along the season. The next event will be in the middle of May in Mondello, organized by the MEC, Motor Enthusiast Club. And once more, if you want to marshal at that event, I give you the QR code again. So if you just take a picture of that or screenshot it or scan it, it'll generate an email to Brian Conlon and he will be happy to give you all the information regarding marshalling in Mondello. Great way to get your foot into motorsport, especially Irish Hill Climb. Like I said before, without the marshals, the events wouldn't be able to be run. So we have a great event to look forward to, and with that I will sign out of the round 4 of the Electro Irish Hill Climb and Sprint Championship 2025 here on Vantage Point Video, Facebook and YouTube Live, and the Facebook pages of the Wexford Motor Club and the Irish Hill Climb and Sprint Championship. All the best.